Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of COVID Calls. Today we've got a number of interesting guests as usual. One of our biggest pop stars, or maybe the queen of pop herself, Ira Losco, is with us. We're also going to be speaking to Howard Keith, music producer, and to Mark Weingard, philanthropist. Guys, can you all hear me? I just want to unmute your mics to make sure that we can hear you as well.
Yes.
Hello.
So thanks very much for being with us today on COVID Calls. Ira, I want to start with you and get a sense of how you're living this COVID life. Are you managing to get any songwriting done? Or I mean, you must be really missing the live audiences right now.
Yes, missing live audiences is one of the main things. I mean, I feel that most of what I do, I love being live the most. I love being in communication and in contact with the people who follow my music. I love performing. That's my favorite part of what I do. As regards to the songwriting, it's very difficult to do with a toddler around the house. And
how old is Harry now?
He's 3.5 actually. And he's currently under my care because obviously Sean is busy working on his own business, trying to make ends meet in that respect. So because I can't have him at my in-laws, I can't have Harry at my in-laws or my parents, he's with me 24/7, as you can hear.
At least you don't have to do too much homeschooling at the moment.
No, not really, except for tracing letters and numbers. Not that keen on that.
Okay, we're going to be talking to all of you as well about the Malta Together concert that's happening this weekend. We'll get some more details about that. But I want to also get a sense from you, Howard, of the business in general, right? I mean, Ira mentioned live audiences. You had Ed Garden planned, and obviously, I imagine quite a lot of work that's gone out of the window as well, right? How are you holding up?
Well, I'd like to divide it in different areas. Basically, there is the live events, as Ira mentioned. In that respect, the festival co-organized, and of course, it's been postponed to next year, cancelled for this year. Then there are releases which were planned, which couldn't happen. Some managed to happen. Some happened exactly in the middle of this crisis. In fact, I've had some discussions with record labels as well, and how they're dealing with it. I can share that later on in our discussion. Then there is the music production side. That part, to be fair, as you said, artists get creative, so we send files to each other. That part still somehow keeps on working well. But there is a massive domino effect, which we can discuss later on, how the whole industry gets affected. So I'd say it's been tough, but challenging, but we'll manage.
Okay, and Mark, you've started an online community, Malta Together. You've got a big concert planned this weekend as well. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to Howard and to Anton, to Ira, to Joseph, to all the stars who are going to be taking part in this event, because I kind of had a bit of a crazy idea last Monday, and the first person I called was Ira. We got hold of her and she gladly came along, contacted Howard, and we contacted Joseph, we contacted Anton, and everybody decided that we were going to go ahead and do this event. So it was only last Monday that we decided to have this event that's going to be on the following Sunday. So we've had the most amazing help from everybody in the community, and PBS agreed to have it live on the TV, and you've agreed to live broadcast from your site, which is fantastic, and we're going to have it broadcast live on TV in Maltese and broadcast across the internet in English across many different websites. I think it's going to be a real community event. And
this was inspired by the Lady Gaga concert, right? In the US.
Yeah, when I saw the concert, which I thought we can do something like that. Let's do something in Malta. I thought it was a good concert they did in the US. I wasn't that keen on the messaging so much. So we've really, I think our concert is going to have much more messaging about the NGOs, about and a lot more storyline involved in things, and a lot more fluent running through it. I have to say that the production team are amazing, and what they will produce will be fantastic. But they've gone out and got a lot of videos of different things together so that we can create a fantastic show. And I know the performance on the evening will be fantastic, and I know they're going to do some great performances from home.
So Ira, maybe you can give us a sense of what you've got planned for the night. How are you going about doing? Are you going to be doing a performance from home?
Yes, everyone's going to be in the comfort of their homes, in the safety of their homes. That's the main message as well, that staying home is staying safe. And obviously we're creative people, so I'm guessing that a lot of us will have some kind of creative setups at home.
Like
the
instruments and dances and stuff like that as well, like
I don't know. I mean, I don't have any dancers with me, but I wouldn't put it past some of the performers. But no, I mean, some people are very creative with their visuals. So I'm looking forward to looking into people's homes as well. There's a bit of a voyeuristic kind of thing, there.
Show us a bit.
But also, I mean, as regards to performance, I think, everyone's going back to the roots and very raw and just enjoying an intimate performance, which we don't get to do that often. A lot of us are performing in front of large numbers, and this time it's going to be a bit more intimate. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I have to ask, we had a big story yesterday about hairdressers. You seem to be doing better than I am. How are you?
The only thing I know how to do is blow dry my hair straight. That's the only thing. Don't ask me to flick it. Don't ask me to put a ponytail up. So in that respect, I'm fine. And also, as regards to makeup, I had a session with my makeup artist, so I'm good with that. She also taught me how to put on my eyelashes. So
nice. So we're learning new skills. Has Sean taught you how to make some sourdough bread? Yeah.
I'm not a great baker, but I'm a good cook. So
you don't need to be a great baker, I guess. Howard, I want to ask you a bit about your vision as well. I mean, you're on X Factor. You're a judge on X Factor together with Ira, Destiny One, and all these big hopes for her performance. It must have been really devastating, for her and for the whole team involved. I'd love to get Ira's perspective as well, but from your side of things, how did you live that experience of having the Eurovision cancelled?
No, I mean, for the person who's going to be representing Malta, in this case, Destiny, obviously it was devastating for her. I think she was doing really well in the odds. It looked like it could have easily been top 10 without a doubt. But then, of course, the EBU took a decision. I'm still not sure about that decision, if I have to be honest with you. I think it was short-sighted, because they should have done something online and get all the nations together.
Still have a winner and still have a whole...
It is ultimately in the spirit of why Eurovision was created in the first place. The little I know, because I'm no expert by all means. But, this was all post-war get-together kind of thing, yeah. So I said, this could have been perfect. So they postponed it to next year. A lot of people were against that. It's their decision. Maybe they're looking at money, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But so I'm hoping for Destiny, for her. That should be there next year anyhow. So that's what.
And in terms of the commercial, how difficult is it because this is a big discussion, right, for event organizers, whether it's conferences or concerts or whatever. People are trying to kind of find online versions of what they're doing, but the money is not the same, right? It becomes a very tricky.
It is a very saturated space. First of all, it is a very saturated space, and most top productions require capital, of course, and then there's a domino effect from getting sponsorships on board to provide that. And artists should and need to get paid. I'd like to make a point here that all the artists, all 52 performers, and the National Orchestra, all of them have done this. One of them, I mean, no money, all waivered fees.
For
So
the
I'd like to thank everyone for that. But yeah, in a normal circumstance, of course, it is what it is, and it is a saturated space. I would say the smaller ones will survive. The larger entities will struggle. There's no doubt.
Ira, what would it have been like for you? You think if your Eurovision performance had to get cancelled? How would you have been with
Well, I think I would have jumped for joy a bit.
that? The second time, maybe.
The second time when when there was that timing issue. I think it would have been a stroke of luck, actually, for me. No, but I mean, that said, it's disappointing, when someone like Destiny, especially, who was really doing so well, and and she's so young, and she was so prepared for it. I think it's a bit disheartening when something like this happens. However, I mean, I think she still has a brilliant future ahead of her. And like Howard said, I mean, I think it was a bit short-sighted on their end to just, cancel the whole thing, because they've done ambitious things, as regards to, just putting the scores out there with all those countries, at that time live is no easy feat. So it should have, I don't know. I mean, I'm not tech savvy at all, but I think that they could have, done something, and still had the festival. But as regards to Destiny, I'm hoping that Malta still keeps her as the representative next year. I hope I'm not rocking any boat here, but I would like to see her as our representative next year, and I'm sure that many of her fans would.
Yeah. Obviously, that could create a complication in terms of the X Factor winner this year. But on that note, Howard, and I will move on to some more specific questions about the concert this weekend. But on X Factor, is there any update? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of uncertainty as well, like there is for every event that's being organized this year. But do you think that a version of X Factor will be able to be organized in time this year?
I'm not one to have any answer to that. You would have to check with the licensee in this case. However, I do believe we had no plans to do it this year. So we're going to skip this year. Actually, initially it was only going to be for a year, but that, again, that was only something in discussion. So you'd have to ask that to the people, give you a better answer than I.
Okay, fair enough. Mark, tell us a bit about the involvement of the Prime Minister's wife, Lydia Bela, with Malta Together. I know that she's endorsed the work that you're doing. Should we expect anything from her on Sunday, right? The concert's on Sunday. Wait, sorry, you're muted. Just give me 1 second. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, she was very interested in the social problems of the country, and she wanted to find a project where she could help raise the spirits of the people. So she contacted me and said, she'd like to be we would discuss things, and we found common ground that she could help be the patron of the whole project. She's going to be introducing the whole show on Sunday, and we're very happy that that she's come forward and that she's going to help create a more social awareness. There are 3 problems in the world today that we're facing. One is a medical problem, the second is an economic problem, and the third one is a social problem. And I think the social problems are very, very high, and that's one thing that this show is going to do. This is the first time I think any of us have put a date in our calendar apart from a business meeting for a long time. Yeah. Okay. And, it means that people have got something to look forward to. People have got something to be happy about. And I actually think that people should start to do more and more shows online. And hopefully this will, I think that our show will raise awareness about social issues. And I think that you'll see a huge awareness change from Monday onwards, because people will understand all the problems that are going on in Malta today and how much good work has been done to ease those problems by the NGOs. And also a little bit about our superheroes who are out there doing things. But I also hope that we'll see a lot more shows going online and, get things to make people happier.
So we're going to talk a bit about the future of concerts as well in a post-COVID or in a COVID reality. But just before we move on to that, I want to know, you're also going to be raising money, right, for charity during this concert. And have you already got some movement over there?
Yes, so our idea was that we're going to do two things. The first of all, before the event, we've been in touch with a lot of corporations and organizations and individuals over here. And, we've explained to them that there are a lot of different social problems in the country. And there's been a lot of NGOs out there who've been helping with that. So there's been the food banks who've been making sure that those who've gone without food have managed to get food. There are people who are dealing with the people with mental health problems and psychological problems, talking to them. And, we have 9 different NGOs that we have identified that we think are doing good work. And I'm sure there's a lot more than that out there. And we have sent those out to lots of different business people, and they're pledging an amount of money before the concert, festival, should I say, before the festival, so that when we can show that the power of the Malta community is going to really give back. And what I'm very, very proud of is that we've raised over 200,000 euros already in the past couple of days. And, Malta should be very proud of its businesses, that even though they're going through a really tough time, they're not having very much income, they've still managed to come up trumps and help support the people. If you're interested in your company giving back, please contact us at action@maltatogether.com. Also on the evening, the viewers will have a chance to give to 3 different projects, and they'll be able to go to our donate page and make a phone call or give an SMS, and the money will go direct to the project. We're not collecting all the money together like a community chest or something like that. You will be giving directly to the charities. There's no middleman. The money goes straight to them.
Nice. And can you tell us which are the projects that people are going to be raising for?
Sure. Let me just get that. Richmond Foundation. We have the Food Bank Lifeline Foundation, the Malta Trust Foundation, which are both dealing very much with food banks. The Richmond Foundation are actually running a helpline for anybody having psychological problems. You dial 1770. They can help you with your problems. The Jesuit Refugee Service Malta, who are making sure that the people who are a lot of immigrants and stuff who have not got any food or whatever, they're making sure that they get dealt with. Inspire, who are dealing with the disabled. Now, disability, is still going on, but a lot of their funding has dried up. So a lot of the NGOs would have events throughout the year, marathons and things like that, and they're not getting that money now. So, they're not running out of money as yet to do their work, but, it's important that we still can give them money so they can carry on their work, because disability still happens. There is the Victory Kitchen, which is a fantastic new project, which is out there, which is being run by Rafael Samut, and he's got a whole load of chefs in different restaurants who are actually going to make a meal each day for different people who cannot afford food. So that's producing 100 meals a day. There's FIDEM Here to Help, which is another organization who's helping people with psychological problems. There's Dartel Providenza, and we have the San John Antide. Both of them very much helping, once again, with the problems of, providing basic necessities like mass, like food or anything else to the people who are having problems at this time. So, they are our heroes right now. The show is about the health service, and the show is about the NGOs who are making sure that nobody gets left behind.
Okay. Howard, I want to get a sense from you. You mentioned before record labels and the industry in general. How do you think the industry is going to be affected by COVID in the long term, even the medium term? Do you think, for example, concerts, which we know, as far as I know, concerts are probably the biggest money maker for artists. Will we ever return to the sort of festival style, concert style events, or will people shy away from them due to these sort of newfound health concerns?
I think that's a very, very good question. And I would look at it twofold. One of them is what happens when all the lockdown pretty much is eased, right? So we foresee a situation where there's going to be, once again, a saturation of events happening all at once. Everyone's trying to ride the wave, and that is not necessarily good. And one also has to keep in mind the mentality of people would have changed through these months of lockdown. So let me give another scenario, a scenario where you used to go to concerts before, everyone's crowded like that, and it's not always a pleasant feeling, is it? Right? But now we're happy to be in our own space and living it in a different way. So maybe one would need to rethink these situations. I am very positive things will definitely get back to normal, but it won't be a short-term thing. It is a long-term thing. Record labels are looking at 3 years recovery, a 3-year recovery, because why isn't it necessarily a good time to release now? Because releases are not the main income for artists; they are just a support system, right? To showcase their music. So the main income is always from live performances. This is including big stars to the younger upcoming artists, right? So when you have a release and it's not supported with tours or not supported with concerts or festivals, you don't actually get the maximization of that. So there is that.
Oh wow! So you think in general there's going to be a real downturn in the amount of releases that there are in general, singles, albums, etc.
No, I think there will be releases, but there will be a lot of releases which have been happening anyhow online, which are free. The problem with online free music for free, let's put it that way, right, is that there is a devaluation of art in general. And I'm sure this affects other industries as well. So I don't want to be very specific in all, but this is my industry, so I can talk about that. It's just that it can be a habit of having music offered free, and then how do you revalue that when times come back to normal? So there's these transitional periods, which, to be fair, no one knows about yet what's going to happen, because this pandemic is very different from all the rest. As not necessarily because it kills, although a lot of people have unfortunately, suffered, and our hearts go out to their families. But it's also because we don't know the outcome of it, and truthfully, before a vaccine is found, we don't know what's going to happen. The best thing we can do, and more together is just one small example of so many other things that could happen, is to find a way to get together, help each other, support each other. For example, one thing, I received a call yesterday about independent journalism. At the moment, most independent journalists, newspapers, are suffering because their revenue probably went down by 70%. So do we want to live in a world with no independent journalism? That's dangerous. It shouldn't be. So, this is where we all help each other. It is the message here about helping each other. Maybe, if before you used to charge, I was talking to a mixing engineer in Italy, who was telling me, maybe if before he used to charge €1,000 for a day, maybe now he'll be happy to do it for €700 or €500. But the wheel must keep on turning. We have to find a happy balance where everyone is somehow gets paid and the artists are allowed to be creative.
What about you, Ira? How are you seeing this? Have you discussed with any other artist friends and have you kept abreast with the situation internationally to know what to expect as an artist over the next year or so?
Well, I mean, I agree with Howard about what he said, and I think that yes, it will take about 3 years for it to get back to the norm. Like he said, one of the worrying things, especially here in Malta, such a small place, is the oversaturation of performances that will be offered once the measures are lifted, and then it will be a dog eat dog, and it's not necessarily a good thing,
Are you going to be working on any new material in the next few months, or are you gonna take a break?
Well, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I will be definitely trying to write here, but I need to go to the studio to Howard to get that done. So
yeah,
till the measures are lifted, I won't be able to do that. And as you can see from the background noise, it's like How do you write, around
Very
that?
relatable for parents at the moment. How are you handling it at home? Do you have school with school and stuff like that? Are you having to homeschool and
My son is 14, 15, so of course, yes, there's the homeschooling. My daughter is also studying, she's 20, so but they can handle themselves on their own. Yeah, so I don't have Ira's problem where you're 24/7 with your child. So there is that. We have two dogs, which I must admit, in this particular situation, my wife was telling me, this is going to be really hard on the dogs after this is over, because we're always with them, literally, and I understand that. There's going to be some getting used to from their side as well, probably. And by the way, we're talking because first of all, the program is hosted in English, and Mark is English, just for the viewers too.
Yes. Don't worry, we always get a few comments about what language we're speaking. You can't please everyone. I was wondering as well whether you guys have experienced any really positive outcomes from this whole period. As we know, it's a very difficult time for everyone, but at the same time, people are making the most of it and finding some even benefits to this situation. Ira, maybe we can start with you. Have you has there been anything that you say, this was a really nice experience and something I want to continue in the future, maybe concerts from home? I don't know.
Well, I've always been very close to the people who follow my music, and anyone who has ever written a letter before social media was available to us, I have always replied. Everyone who's ever messaged on my message board or whatever, I've always replied to them. But I'm beginning to receive even more messages now that we are all at home. And, some people ask for advice. Some people just ask to be comforted. Some people agree with what you've written. Some people are sharing the same kind of emotions. And it's just really nice. It's a feeling of community that I felt before, but I feel it even more now. And, it's just that sense of everyone is looking out for each other. That's a really nice sentiment.
And it's really strange, that we're more distant than ever, more isolated than ever, but at the same time, we're just so much more in touch with so many more people.
Maybe a silver lining in this, the way I was thinking about it the other time, is like maybe it was nature's way of telling us to slow down a little bit. In my case, I'm involved in many things, many different things happening, and this kind of slowed me down for a while, till I got used to what I should be doing, to keep back.
Till you started working on this concert.
That was one of them. That's when Mark called me this last week.
No, it's speeded it up.
As you can see, from no sleep for last week. But it's such a great thing. And if I may use this concert as an example, one of the artists, I'm sure they won't mind me mentioning it, from Tribali, told me, thank you so much for this, because this gave us an incentive, because we were missing it. They used to rehearse often and meet up, and then all this thing happened and they lost kind of the love, how it is. And this little thing gave an incentive to get back into the game, to start doing music together again. And that's the whole scope of More Together. Because I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things is that people have started to appreciate the little person in the streets. So people have started to appreciate their doctors, their nurses, their street cleaners, the supermarket people, and you've really seen this kind of outreach to understanding that, we're all a community together. And I really do believe there's going to be a much bigger sense of community after this, and that. I know that people are worried about profits, and we all are. I mean, it's not exactly been a profitable time, but I do think that people will be not just focused on profits, will be focused very much on community going forward. And I think that there's a lot of things that we used to take for granted, like just going to have your hair cut, or going for a restaurant meal. And these days you can't even do any of those things. And I think that in future we're going to understand that each of the things we do is quite special. And we will stop taking things for granted so much, and we'll get more pleasure out of life.
Yeah. Ira, Howard mentioned Tribali and how this was an incentive for them to get back. I think for artists, it must be strange in that you would think with more time on your hands, you would maybe do more writing or you know, have more time for, like, I guess a lot of artists always feel that they don't have enough time, and now they've got the time, but maybe
Sure.
the mental space is a bit different, right? How do you get out of that block that sometimes I'm sure a lot of songwriters and artists get?
I don't know. I've been there before, and it's hard to pinpoint when you get out of that block. However, what I can say about now, the hardest part is that for me, music has always been a way of life. But before I had Harry, you know, I'd take it slightly for granted because I was a bit younger, because I was carefree. And now that I have, you know, the biggest duty that life has to offer, it makes me feel lucky that I am an artist and that I can escape and use music as my escape. And when I'm on stage, I become a completely different person. I'm still the same human being, but I become the artist. And I do miss that a lot, being indoors and, you know, just fulfilling my one role. I need to have more roles in my life, as funny as that sounds and as crazy as it is to have to juggle continuously all the time. It's the one thing that I miss as well.
And you talk about being a parent, and I think another thing that a lot of people are going through right now is that usually parents get a lot of support from grandparents in terms of, you know, babysitting and now that's something dangerous, you know what I mean? So it's
yeah, for sure. And I mean, and besides the fact that, you know, we can't see the people who are closest to us and who we love the most. And same goes for the children, you know, for our children, they can't see their grandparents, they can't see their aunts and cousins. I mean, it's tough, you know, it's hard to always be on FaceTime. It gets a bit tedious.
Hopefully
ultimately.
it serves for some inspiration as well, some introspection and
I'm sure it will when it decides to come out.
Let's say hi to Harry while okay, guys, thank you so much for this. I just want to get maybe a last comment from each of you. Hi, Harry.
Hi. He had to make his appearance. Ittifel Tommo, what can I say?
Howard, maybe you can tell us, you know, why it's so important for people to tune in to the concert on Sunday, and what you're looking forward to the most out of this.
I think, let me start with something very, something from the past, nostalgic. We all remember Live Aid. You remember that. And I remember when that happened, a lot of countries got together and did their own thing and this and that. You mentioned that the inspiration started from Lady Gaga. I believe Mark's website actually was before that. I stand to be corrected, but he did the website that Mark did, Malta Together, was done before that. The concert was maybe another way how to make this voice heard to a more people or so. So going back to the Live Aid, Malta never had a chance to do anything like this. And I just thought it was such a beautiful thing, such a great idea to open it up. When we have 52 different performers, that's not a joke, to get them together and, you know, from cello.
Give us some names.
No, wait, we know the names are on the posters, but there are musicians, there are different musicians and all. I won't give away any repertoire. There's going to be some great stuff, great surprises. Yeah. So many features in the program, and
including Joseph Kalea, right?
Come again?
Including Joseph Kalea, right?
Including Joseph, yes, absolutely. Including Mark Sarace, who is currently, I believe, is number 3 in German charts at the moment with the project he did. You know, it's fantastic. And I'm actually, even myself, the last time I performed in front of people was probably 2005, whilst Ira was on tour in Germany. There was this unplugged performance, and I said, yeah. And so I just said, okay, I'm going to do it as well this time. So it's all these different incentives, all such a sense of community. And it's going to be at least just a break from the FaceTime norm. You know. And most of all, as Mark has said, and I'll give him the last word on this, it's also about helping these NGOs, more importantly. So Mark, up to you. He is muted.
Yes, hold on just 1 second, Mark. You're going to have to repeat that again. And
can
Wait, don't touch it. Okay, go ahead.
I think I muted while you were unmuting.
Yeah.
Howard doesn't know this story. I'm going to tell a little story about Howard here. So we were coming onto a Zoom call when this all just started, and Jason, who was working with me, was on the call, and Howard was turning around and he was saying to his wife, "I've got a really important call. Please, it's one of the most important calls I've got for a long time. It's so important." All right. And Jason told me the story. I never told this to Howard, and what it taught me was that this was a chance for us all. And I know it's for Howard. It was so important, a chance to say, and for Ira as well. This is a chance for us all to go and say, thank you. This was a chance for us all to turn around to say, thank you. We're so lucky to be here in Malta, and Malta, to be honest with you, has survived this so much better than any other country in Europe. And we're so lucky that our health service has been so well run, and that all the people have really, everybody in the country, not just the people in the shops, not just the health service, but most people have really behaved well. And it's our chance to say thank you to each other. Thank you to the people working in the health service. Thank you to the people in the shops. This is a chance to also, supermarkets and everything else. It's a chance to say a real big thank you to the NGOs who've literally gone out, and for all the people who've contributed to them as well, to gone out and make sure that nobody slips through the cracks. And I think that this is a chance for the whole of Malta to come together, whether you're English speaking, whether you're Maltese speaking, because it's going to be in Maltese on TV, and it's going to be in English on the internet. It's a chance for us all to come together, foreigner, or Maltese born, to come together and say thank you. And a chance for us all to be inspired by people like Ira, with her beautiful voice, and by the messages we're going to get from so many different stars and even overseas stars, to have that inspiration to lift us through this moment of darkness that we've all been going through, and to make us realize there is a light. So I think that it's going to be a real occasion for everyone to participate. And if you're doing, come and listen on Sunday. Be part of a movement. Be part of Malta Together, because together we'll come through this stronger, and together we will emerge and be a happy nation. Don't be scared of the future. It will be different, but we'll still be there.
And Ira, last message from you. What are you looking forward to most about the program, about the concept, and maybe your message to the Maltese public at this time as well?
I'm really looking forward to performing in such an intimate way, as I said before, and I'm looking forward to being part of this lineup. Many of the people I've performed with before, some others I haven't, so it's going to be something new for me. And I'm also glad that we're doing this to thank the people who are on the front line, especially the people from the medical staff. I know that some of them have had a really difficult time. Some of them have had to leave their loved ones behind at home for fear of contamination. So it's like he's got a timer on him. As soon as I start to talk.
Maybe we hope he'll have an appearance in the concert. Very intimate.
I should hope not, Chris.
Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
And good luck for Sunday, and thanks for coming onto the program. Take care.
Thank you.
So that was COVID calls. Just give me 1 second. That was COVID calls. Thank you very much for being with us once again. Don't forget to check out the Malta Together concert on Sunday. And COVID calls will be with you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be interviewing the president of Malta, Dr. George Vella, and we will be understanding as well what is him as a medical doctor, and his perspective of how Malta is performing in terms of the COVID pandemic. Thanks again for watching. I've been Chris Bregin, and this has been COVID Calls.